on the starting oracle. Members of the crew have been warned.
Let's talk about Starfield Shattered Space, the first story expansion from Bethesda Game Studios. By this point, DLC story add-ons are a bit of a tradition when it comes to Todd Howard's approach to single-player RPG development. I've had a lot of fun unpacking the DLCs of New Vegas, Fallout 3 on this channel, and it's kind of nice to experience a new DLC expansion before beating a game's main campaign. So what is Shattered Space? It's an opportunity for players to jump into a more handmade experience designed to flex a bit of Bethesda's creative muscles and make up for some of the criticisms the team received for Starfield's overly broad approach to procedural generation. The idea is there are more bespoke, handcrafted quests that draw the player into Starfield's lore and less locations vaguely titled Science Facility. I love Bethesda RPGs because I like the feeling I get when I'm experiencing a unique world with unique characters and unique experiences that tie all those components together. It's that formula with those pieces that coalesce into a great Bethesda RPG. I don't go to Bethesda games for ultra-linear storytelling, nor do I go to Bethesda games for relentless procedural generation. There has to be a world that I care about, a story that compels me to even read about it when I pick up in-game books off the shelves of NPCs. I should feel like I've been dropped into a Dungeons & Dragons campaign that continually draws me into the world while forcing me to take action. I agree that Starfield felt off. It felt different, but the hours don't lie. I've sunk 4 days of playtime into the game so far, and I hardly feel like I've really played it all that much. So there's that, which is, I think, a good thing. I've been careful not to overindulge in overtly long play sessions. I play when I want to, for as long as I want to, and that has led to a great experience. But I do have some critiques. I think the characters suffer from a world that's too large and too vague. I think the towns and cities feel a little vapid, and I think the overworld planet exploration is missing that classic sense of Bethesda charm. I do think Shattered Space is off to a great start in addressing those concerns. They don't have to knock it out of the park for me to find it worth my time. Because I like these games, and I even may go as far as to say I prefer Starfield to Fallout 4. So in my mind, it's an improvement, not a step back. Let's talk about how we got here, or rather how we found the inciting event of Shattered Space. It's a distress signal emitting from a derelict space station, the Oracle. What you find on the space station is quite Bethesda-y, following ghosts, discovering audio logs, powering up generators. It's not the strongest opening of a DLC, it's not bad, it's somewhere in the middle. The quest design of Shattered Space is opening, propels the player forward with a compelling sense of wonder, or maybe even some curiosity. There's a lack of conspiracy, a lack of magic. Fantastical specters shooting rifles at the player isn't quite enough of a narrative design to make the event feel memorable. Landing on Varun Kai is an improvement of previous Starfield planets, and is visually more interesting than the space station. Starfield's textures look great in outdoor environments. A tremendous skybox, a rich color palette, and a satisfyingly gritty texture to the surfaces and materials. It's fun to look at. As you make your way through the questline, you'll step inside a cave that screams Elder Scrolls. The more I play Starfield, the more I imagine what Elder Scrolls 6 will look like and feel like, and Varun Kai seems to elicit the most fantastical, ancient elements of Starfield lore. The city struggles to blend the religious, ancient overtones of Varun Kai while still maintaining its space aginess. The combination of ritualistic caves and candles juxtaposed with modern fonts and clearly modern features and amenity, it fails to feel alien or otherworldly. The struggle with Starfield's city design is there's a lack of narrative cohesion. Fallout has the benefit of Vault-Tec and other corporations constantly gaslighting their subjects into a world where war never changes. The Outer Worlds takes a similar approach while tying in a race to the settled systems with corruption. Starfield misses the mark when it comes to a unifying theme and tone. Because of this, we're meant to feel like each faction comes from a totally distant realm from the next. Yet there's clearly similar technology, similar approaches to city design, and it creates this connected yet disjointed feel to the game. I almost feel like I'm on a new planet with old ways, but there's just those little details that remind me that I'm in futuristic Starfield. And somehow all the cities on all the planets feel a little samey. That would be okay if there was an overarching theme that gave it a reason why these Starfield planets feel similar and feel connected. And maybe that's the unity in the main quest, but I should be able to sense more than a main quest goal, an overarching theme. There should be a gameplay, a lore-specific reason, kind of like the Elder Scrolls. It's like there's a feeling of Oblivion, there's a feeling of Morrowind that, permeates through those games, but Starfield is missing that feeling, and maybe it's there, it just doesn't compel me as much as those other games. A little detail that I do want to mention, I love taking photos in photo mode, but there's kind of this adverse effect. Somehow I ran out of storage and had to delete all my photos. This was connected to the loading screen art, and for a while it felt like Bethesda half expected me to create stunning visuals for the loading screens. I'm not sure which update fixed it, but I've noticed more interesting world art featured in Starfield by Bethesda themselves, and I think this helps to create that sense, that theme, that tone that I'm looking for to tie in these worlds, these planets together. Briefly, I'll touch on character leveling. I'm the DM that focuses more on story, narrative design, and questing than the DM that keeps track of his player's stats. Turns out I play the same way too. I am somehow only a level 36 at the point of writing the script. That's after 100 hours of playing this game. I'm not an XP farmer or a loot grinder or a crafter of settlements, so I really only have the exploration, dungeon diving, and questing to rely on. I have issues with the way character leveling is approached. It feels homeworky in a similar way to Fallout 4, but worse somehow. It echoes a little bit of Oblivion's approach, but somehow Oblivion's approach feels more fun and more rewarding. They recommend you come into the DLC at level 35, and so far, it's more than doable. Character design in the DLC is vastly improved. The skin textures feel like a more mature Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds has the benefit of having a very cohesive overarching art design. I think benefits that game more when it comes to character design as well too. Starfield feels like it's finding a middle ground between the Outer Worlds and Cyberpunk. Grittier, more realistic than Outer Worlds, less visually stunning and less confident than Cyberpunk. I think space should elicit an element of cool, kind of in the vein of Blade Runner and Alien. If you're going for a more straight down the middle sci-fi, I should go as a player, wow, I like that helmet, or I like that suit, I like that haircut, you know, Boba Fett, Stormtroopers, the A-Wing, all of these classic space elements. And now when we talk about the exterior environments of Starfield, they're beautiful. But if you love Fallout's decrepit American landscape with hollowed buildings, abandoned rail stations, and tantalizing gas stations and grocery stores filled with ammo and ghouls, then you'll be disappointed to find mostly just rocks in Starfield. Beautiful rocks, but mostly rocks, and the most beautiful skybox you've ever seen. I'd recommend Bethesda get more creative with the exteriors and do something akin to Oblivion and Skyrim. Maybe throw in a little forest here and there, maybe an abandoned shrine, a derelict spaceship with creatures. More points of interest that distract from the feeling that every planet is just a space desert with varying color, hues, and minerals. I know that's maybe the more scientifically accurate thing, but I don't think we need scientific accuracy in place of fun. Starfield struggles to confidently present characters that also have their own unique sense of style and swagger. So far, Varun Kai citizens seem to be the best looking, best dressed group of NPCs, and I have a feeling this is due to the smaller scope, which probably allows for the character artists, environment artists, and lighting directors to have the chance to interact more in creating a perfect storm of visually appealing character design with, you know, the way they're framing these shots, the way they're lighting them, the way that they're getting the most out of the textures. The VO is strong, but there's a few baffling moments where it seems most of the VO actors are on the same page, that Varun Kai has sort of this Vampiric Transylvanian space vampire thing going on, and then out of nowhere someone will just talk to you in a very standard American accent.
You stand before what remains of the High Council, advisors to Anasko Varun. Please, can we just for a moment...
Can we just for a moment what? Discuss whether or not to allow the first convert to House Varun since before any of us were born?
This is the norm for Bethesda games. Sometimes it feels like they do it on purpose to, like, I guess, jolt you awake in the middle of a story. They kind of even sound a little bit like the Nords in Skyrim. It's part of the charm, but again, I think Starfield needs to address narrative immersion whenever it can. And I think they should check out a game like Diablo 4.
Yes, I can already feel the warmth returning.
Because I think they are approaching it in a similar way with like vaguely vampiric accents, but I think Diablo 4 does a better job. I should mention that the music, the audio, I think is strong so far. As I mentioned in the VO, I think it sounds good. I think the music is compelling, it's alluring. It has some Starfield elements, it has some cyberpunk elements. I think Enon Zur seems to be comfortably placed in Shattered Space. The vehicle combat is great. I really have minimal notes. I think more vehicles would be fun and more unique ways to interact with companions on the vehicles, maybe give them more jobs. maybe a gunner. And with that, I think Starfield will have one of the best vehicle exploration experiences in modern RPGs. But there's tons of room for improvement and a lot that Bethesda could still focus on. And this is just my early impressions. I think if you like Starfield, then this is more Starfield. If you're still on the fence, this may or may not entice you. Let me know what you think of Shattered Space in the comments. I will see you guys next time. Later. Bye.